Name's Anne. I want to introduce our team. There's 4 of us here from Central States who are going to take part in the presentation today. We just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time and look forward to chatting. We are pretty informal. We will walk through the slide deck. We're more than happy to send it to any of you should you need it. So please just let Brandon know or any of us. I wanted to introduce the rest of our team. Bryn Behringer, Allie Hogan, and Brian Borelli.
Hello.
So between the 4 of us, we are the senior leadership team here at Central States, and just want to kind of walk through a little bit of the agenda today. We're going to leave some time for question and answers, but just to give you a little bit of idea on the outline of the day, we're going to talk about why to market to your database. And I think over the past year, there are many of you and many of our clients that we work with that have realized the importance of knowing your database, knowing your clients, and how to actually speak to your database. So whether your database be patients or students or B2B or B2C world, it's really important. So we'll walk through why to market to your database, how to market through your database, give you some ideas on tactics and ways to do that, and then some takeaways, and then we'll leave time for question and answer. So I will get started. And please, if you do have questions, please just put them in the chat box. That would be great. We can answer them as we go through the presentation. One of the things just to kind of walk through is a little bit about who we are. We love what we do and we do what we love. And at Central States, we've been around over 20 years. We've worked with many different types of businesses, many non-for-profits, community agencies, but we believe that every client and every partner that we work with, we really need to sit down and drill and figure out what are their goals, what do we need to accomplish. But really we're a comprehensive marketing firm. We work with a lot of local, regional, national clients. We're very fortunate. Our team is here in the market. We do a lot of work outside of this market, but we call this our home market. This is our home. This is where many of us grew up. And so we're excited to be here. Some of our services that we offer, just to give you a little bit of details, we do everything from website design and development, strategic branding, logo creation, online marketing, traditional media, and so much more. And I believe that we have strong talent within our team, which is important to the success for any program that we run. A little bit why we love what we do is it's important for us to be able to create opportunities for our clients that let them go above and beyond to accomplish their goals. So it's really important to us. That's our mission. That's who we are. That's what we do. And it's really how we work every day. And I'm going to turn it over to Bryn. She's going to talk a little bit more about why to market to your database. And we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Wonderful. Nice to meet everybody virtually. I know we're probably all so sick of this, so hopefully someday soon we're doing this in person. But thank you for the nice handoff, Anne. We talked a lot about this as a team. You know, what could we talk about that would be relative to all verticals, all industries, and help everyone out to some extent. And one of the things that we always kind of practice and preach to our own client base and ourselves is it's a whole lot easier to keep your current customers and clients than it is to find new ones. And especially in today's COVID world, as things were difficult, communication with your current customers and clients was really, really important, and it will continue to be. So we wanted to focus on looking at your database and what you can do with that effectively. So before we dive into some of the tactics that we recommend, we did want to highlight basically the importance of your database. And you'll see a quote on here from the VP of Retail from Apple, that consumer data will be the biggest differentiator in the next 2 to 3 years. And whoever unlocks these reams of data and use it strategically will win. And we believe that because if you can really speak to your database effectively with the right messaging and the right segmentation, I think there's a lot of advantages in every vertical. So as we look at the importance of your database, some things to consider and that we'll dive deeper into is how are you collecting the data on your consumers? Are you looking at their past purchases? Are you collecting their information that's personal, like their birthday or important anniversary dates to them as a donor or a client to your business? Are you learning what they're interested in so you can later segment your list? And are you looking at past engagements, what they have either said they are interested in or looking at past metrics to know what content is important to them? And how are you collecting this information? Do you have a point of sale system and making sure you're obtaining email addresses? Do you have an option to sign up on your newsletter or social feeds? Do you collect at events? Especially if you're a foundation, collecting at any type of a nonprofit event is really critical. So those are all areas to collect that data and make sure it's clean data as well. Is your list segmented? This is really, really an important component. We work with a lot of companies that have this massive amount of data, but it's really not cleaned up and it's not segmented. The more targeted you can be in your messaging and to your client base, the better your results will be. So again, knowing maybe certain customers that like certain products, maybe it's by birth date, by purchase, whatever that might be, but really segmenting your list is very important. And then is your list up to date? You know, how often are you adding new email addresses? Are you scrubbing it, updating it for people that have gone, past and replaced? Are you encouraging signups via your website, your social media? Whenever we deploy an email, for instance, for a client or ourselves, we also push that content out socially into our website, which can also encourage people to sign up for that same kind of content and information that will be coming. So make sure you're constantly asking for people to engage with you and get that information. And then how and why to use your database as a marketing tool. Why is this an important component of what you do? A database is really vital because it can really bring together all of your marketing events and efforts for your business. It's really going to be that kind of tie into what you're promoting and what you're saying to your client base. Again, it's a lot easier to keep current clients engaged and customers than to always constantly find new ones. It helps you identify profitable segments of your market or your business. Look at who's engaging, what they're engaging in. That's good information because you have a current database that's telling you, hey, I like this information, or I like this product, or I like these promo codes, these types of sales. Those are things that can help you kind of garner the rest of your marketing efforts. And again, it'll help you look at who are my profitable customers? Can I give them special incentives? Do I have a loyalty program? Those that can constantly engage, do they get additional information above and beyond others? What can you do to create those segmented profiles of your business? And then obviously schedule activities to contact customers regularly and at the right times. Do what you're saying you're going to do. If you're going to give a monthly newsletter, make sure you send it monthly. And you don't want to over inundate as well, but make sure that you have the right communication at the right time. And your database should also support your customer service, your sale, and other activities. So make sure you're creating the same message, look and feel across all different platforms and to those same people that they're getting the same message and same creative. And again, communicating at the right time with the right message, that's really important because it's wonderful to have a great database, but what you're saying and how you're saying it is just as important. So make sure, again, to schedule and track those frequencies, how often you're either pushing out information to that customer base and what you're saying. Make sure that you're not overdoing it. No one hates more than that ad fatigue of seeing the same message way too many times across too many platforms. And you don't want to always be pushing out sales information. I kind of give the Kohl's or the Bed Bath & Beyond example. I'm never going to go if I don't have a 20% off coupon because that's the expectation they've created for me that I'm always going to get a coupon. So don't make it always so sales heavy for your clients. They're already a customer, so make sure you're giving them useful information and what's in it for them. That's really why they subscribed to your database. Less can be more. Obviously, identify and recognize opportunities by comparing groups to each other. If you A/B and test creative you're pushing out, messaging, see what they engage with, and really tailor that to future communications. And last, make sure to monitor your progress and track the conversions. And we'll get into some more data like that. But I think it's important that you look at what they engage with. Is it certain content, certain images, what plays with your customer base? Then make sure that you carry that through all of your marketing efforts. Times of day that they engage. When are they actually opening emails? Test different times of deployment. When you're putting out messages or social media information, when do you get the most engagement there? And ask them for feedback, but let them know you've heard that change too. If you're saying, what content do you want to see? When do you want to see it? How do you want to see it? Make sure you let them know that you heard that and then push it out in that way.
We're going to move on to tactics right now. And as we mentioned before, if you do have questions, please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer those as we go along. First one we're going to talk about is email. And it's probably the oldest digital tactic that is available out there, and it still has relevancy to what we do as a business, but also as consumers. And as the figure states here, over 90% of you internet users send email, making it one of the leading digital tactics. This basically shows you a breakdown of the age groups that are utilizing email as a preferred contact method. 18 to 24 age group, and then 25 up really account for the majority of the people who prefer receiving email as a means of communication. And then this finally just really kind of gives you some more detailed, some numbers and metrics onto why and how, and as Bryn said, making certain your content is compelling enough, making sure that there's more information than promotion in there. You still want to promote something, but again, more information than promotion. She made the mention before too of incentives. Really try to lead with something that's going to engage some consumer action, but also same thing with making certain that what you're doing is consistent in look and feel, and that people are aware of who you are as a brand. So those are all really key things that tell us about the direction of where we should go with the email. I think as we move forward, there are some other neat aspects to email, and it's the ability to report and to follow those. And it's probably a little difficult for you to read, but this is just a sample report, something that we send out to our clients. Different platforms have different designs. We compile information and send it out, but it gives you a good look into how many emails are sending out, how many of those are coming back to you from a bounce back rate, or how many of them how many people have opted out. What is the click-through rate? And the idea is, again, you want an action with that, so you have to make certain that you have a good call to action to make people want to click through. What is the open rate of the email? You want to make certain that people are opening it up, and there's different industry standards. Again, that's something that we can provide to you, or you can check online and being able to say, you know, what is my expectation? Does everybody open my email? No. So hopefully it gets high because you have qualified your list, but really being able to tell you what your expectations should be for how many people are going to open it. We'd like to include charts and all, but it also provides you direction onto where people are clicking, how many people have clicked through on a certain URL that's within your email. And in many cases, it'll also provide you with a list of who those individuals were, so you can do some follow-up with them. So if we know that Allie Ann and Bryn liked Bed Bath & Beyond's 20% discount and clicked on that, hey, I'm going to make certain that we keep on feeding on those types of pieces of information.
And I think that goes to earlier to the segmentation of your list, because the more segmented it is, you can have 4 or 5 different messages going out at the same time, versus those clients maybe that are a higher end purchaser, or those that need to be getting different information based off of what your point of sale is telling you, or your database information lets you know. I think the more tailored and unique and custom the messages, the better. So really segmenting that list is really important here, because you'll get a higher open rate and an engagement rate.
Right. And as Bryn alluded to earlier, of being able to say, test it at different times and find out how that open rate compares at 2 p.m. as compared to 6 a.m. as compared to 5 p.m. You'll find that level for you. Use your list wisely. You know, don't oversend, don't undersend. I think there's something to be said about a regularity to it, but also don't abuse that list, because you will lose customers. You know, you have to include an unsubscribe, and once somebody's unsubscribed, they're lost. At least through this vehicle, I lost contact for that.
I think everyone knows when you have a database, kind of the natural use is for email marketing. You know that you have collected their name, their email, can contact them in that form, but sometimes it's hard to really understand how to use it on social media. Social media in general has shifted over the past 10 years. It used to be just me sharing photos of my family and putting a status up, but now it's where people go to consume news, they learn about events, they look for recommendations. It's really turned into its own type of search engine in itself. So how do you really garner social media to stay in front of your customers? It's the 3rd most visited website in the world after Google and YouTube, and it has 2.7 billion monthly users. So that's a really big pool of people to try and stay in front of. So how do I narrow down that list so that my paid advertising is more effective and I'm actually in front of people that are interested in me or have engaged with my business in the past? So there's kind of two different ways you can look at that with social media, specifically Facebook. You can look at custom audiences, which is actually taking that user list that you've put together and that you've built with your customers and uploading it to the Facebook platform. So you take that customer database, you put it in the platform, and then that database will be matched against people that are using Facebook and have accounts. So you're actually able to match up to people in your system that have a Facebook or have a Facebook account and can view your ads. This helps you narrow your creative messaging. You can effectively utilize your campaign dollars and stay in front of that audience that you know is engaged with you. So that's kind of the custom side. Oh, I think we have a question in the chat. All right, we can circle back to that one with security. We'll get back to that question towards the end. So that's kind of the custom audiences side for Facebook. So utilizing your list to stay in front of your audience on the social media platform. The second approach is to use lookalike audiences. So that is really taking a couple different ways. You can do this with your database and essentially build an audience that looks like your user. Facebook uses its algorithms to match profiles and make a kind of duplicate your list on the Facebook platform. This helps you open the number of customers you can reach. You can then run paid ads to that larger pool of people that all have similar interests and are more likely to engage. Or you can build a lookalike audience without a current database. So that kind of helps you build to know who you want to be in front of and to know who your audience is. You can start with dropping a pixel on your website that will garner data to figure out who's coming to the site. And then through an algorithm, Facebook creates a group of users to advertise to that customer that looks similar to your website visitor. So from there, you can run a paid ad on the platform. So really that allows you two different approaches. If I have a database or if I don't have a database, to create that pool that's more targeted, more segmented, and I can be more effective and engage with people that are more likely to convert and utilize your services or engage with your business. Like with any tactic, there's variables to make that campaign successful. Sometimes it's the creative messaging. Sometimes it's your traffic, how you traffic the campaign, and how large your database is. So make sure you're collecting those names. It's hard to match a database if you only have 10 people on it. The bigger the database, the better. And the more information you have from that database, the better, because you can match profiles more easily. So as you're garnering your customer information, keep that in mind. Try to get as much information as possible. The nice part too with social media is everything is trackable with any digital tactic. Take a look at the reporting. This is just a sample on the back end where you can see the breakout of the ad set. So this would be reflective of those lists that you upload into the system, how many impressions your ads can get, that reach, the link clicks, that click-through rate, and then based on budget. So this allows you just really some insight to say who's engaging with my ads. Are they engaging? Do I have the right messaging? Maybe I need to change out the photo. Maybe something's really not resonating with that audience because I'm getting more segmented, I'm being more targeted, and staying in front of them. And your customers can experience, like it was mentioned earlier, ad fatigue. So making sure you're taking a look at this really on a daily basis to monitor that engagement and make sure you're in front of that customer on a regular basis, but your frequency isn't too high.
Awesome. Another area that we wanted to talk through, utilizing a current database. I know a lot of us have been introduced to geofencing over the past couple of years, where your devices, for instance, your smartphone or your tablets, if they walk into a physical building, a business, that phone has been tagged, or that tablet, once that device leaves that virtual fence that we've created, they will be served up banner ad marketing on that device because they've entered a fence or geofence location. That's something that's been around for several years and becoming more custom. But the nice thing is you can take advantage of your current database and target them with the same kind of philosophy and tactic. But whether they're in their homes, not because they've come to your store or a competitor store. So again, you can reach your current database on their mobile device, really monitor their engagement of what they're doing, and know what actions people are taking. So again, looking at your current database, looking at that address list, uploading that through a geofencing program, and being able to target those devices within that home. So it's very similar to back in the days when you look at a direct mail list and you want to purchase and mail out a mailer to those homes or to your own customer database. This is the same thing, but you're just doing it through a digital platform. So any device that's in that address located in that house, a tablet, a phone, an iPad, whatever, they will be served out banner ad marketing while within apps. Another way just to get for that message in front of your current database.
And again, the beauty of the digital advertising is it's all trackable. You can see how many visits actually came through your campaign through that geofencing of the home addresses. You can also see by setting your location as a conversion zone, you can see how many people went to some of those fences you placed and then clicked through and walked in to your facility. So you get some really good insight as to metrics and performance.
And this is great, sorry, Allie. And even to Allie's stuff with some of the social media custom audiences, when you know who your database is, whether you have a list of those that maybe have shopped you, they've looked at cars, they're in that kind of in that funnel, and you know what point they're at. Again, that's where that segmentation is so important, because I can push out very specific creative to that list of maybe the make and model that they're looking at, or again, they're in that sales funnel to some, they've applied, but they haven't enrolled to my school. Well, then they need to really be pushed to enroll. So again, if that database is very segmented, you can really put out some very specific messaging to that database and get in front of them in really unique ways to help reinforce what stage they are in that buying cycle.
And take them directly to the page that they need to make that final conversion.
And video, we know the importance of video. Video is the fastest growing digital media right now. Within 24 months, there will be over 50 billion video views. So we know the importance of video. We also know how important it is with how people consume video. It's not long form anymore. We've seen just in the past few years, it's really, people want their information fed to them. They want it in short snippets. They won't watch long form video. So just as important as the video placement also is the video creative. But we feel that video, we know how important it is. And the targeted video, which is over the top, which is streaming, is incredibly important. And it's just effective to reach your customer database. We know that 55% of people watch online videos every day. So how do we make sure we stay in front of them with our messaging in front of our consumer base? So with targeted video, OTT, we can really do the same thing as addressable. We can know who our database is and make sure that that database is targeted and sees our video.
One thing, and it's probably more a question you should answer yourself. We can't necessarily have a show of hands since we're not in person, but you have to think of how video has grown just over the past year. We have all been working from home, or most of us, some of us have gotten back, but during that time when you're working from home, you think to yourself, how many of you, to break the day's monotony, got online and watched video? Or how many others have done the same? So again, it's one of those that has been a boom over the past year, and as Ann mentioned here, with its continued growth, continues to do so.
I think the takeaways that from today's presentation, we could spend an hour on just some of these takeaways. Some questions we get when we meet with a client is, no list, I don't have a list. Well, let's figure out a game plan so that you can start creating a list. You can also create the list, and creating a list is just like, it's like buying a list, but it's you can buy it digitally. And so I think that that's important, knowing you can create that list by demographic, by geography, psychographics. So I think that that's really important, is at least start the process now so you can start your own list, but you can also create a list.
We often get asked, I have a database, and we see it more often than not. It's just a big mess of email addresses or information and addresses. And that's okay. It's a starting point. Definitely take the time to clean it up, but stay on top of it too. I mean, Cleaning it up once a year isn't enough. I mean, every time you launch an email or you launch a campaign, look at those unsubscribes, look at those bounces, clean up your list, take an advantage to reach out to a customer and client, say, hey, your email came back. We want to make sure you're getting your information. Can I update your information? But really try to keep it segmented when you're doing that as well. And if it's not, as you send out information in an email, ask people, what would you like to be added to? Do you want to learn more about X, Y, and Z? Give them an option to subscribe to specific content. If they do want every sale, if they want more research, whatever it might be, but ask your customers what they want to be told, and then start giving them that information.
And there are automated ways within your email systems to do that from the beginning. So it's not always manually going in and moving someone from one Excel file to the other. You just have to set up your email database to give them the option of check marking what they want to see, and then it will funnel them into the correct categories.
Yeah, and it's making certain the information that's already there or you are entering is correct. It's one of the things we continually see in databases from people is they don't have the proper information. And it can be as simple as a matter of a space before you start an email address. And the system's not going to recognize that, or taking the time to drill down and, depending upon the business you're in, identifying whether the person is a male or a female and what age group. And that really, the more information is knowledge, and the more information you can get into that database, the better off you'll be.
We touched on it earlier with frequency, but just to reiterate, sometimes it's a testing process to figure out what that fine balance is and what you have to put in front of that customer. Sometimes it's just going back to having that segmentation. If it's segmented properly, the frequency might just follow naturally. But if you have just one big list, you have to find that balance of, do I see my user engagement go down when I send 3 a month? Is it really in that sweet spot when there's only one email at the beginning of the month and they are on a schedule and they know to expect it the first of every month with what's happening for the following month? So some of that is just trial and error and looking at metrics and finding the rhythm that works best for you.
And I touched on it a little bit, but I think creative messaging is so important because it not only reinforces your brand, but it also is important to the right message, the right person at the right time. So knowing that audience, knowing your database, the messaging you're speaking, perception is reality. So making sure that it lines up with your brand messaging. So I think that's just as important as where you're pushing all of your messages to is what creative goes along with that. So we find that it's a really important blend of both of that, the frequency, the segmentation of your list, and the messaging you're pushing out. Because there's a lot of different types of businesses that we're talking to today on this call, and you all have different segments of your business. So making sure the right messaging reaches the right segment.
And the take action really is just a reminder that any digital tactic you engage with on your database is going to have reporting that should not be overlooked. Definitely take a look at, again, what people are engaging with, because that's going to steer your content that you're pushing out in all directions and all your marketing efforts, traditional and digital. Look at what they like, what they want to engage with. But also there's some great stuff like Brian mentioned on email, for example. If you have 4 or 5 different parts and segments of your email and someone signed up or clicked on something, that's a great follow-up call. We have some plastic surgeons that might have a promotion that they're running for cool sculpting, for example. If they see that someone has clicked on that in the reporting and someone hasn't actually come in, it's a great way to call that patient and just say, hey, I don't know if you saw, but we have a special right now. It's a great time to book if you've been considering. You don't have to tell them you saw they clicked on the cool sculpting special, but it's a great way to know that there's interest there and a great way to follow up with them. Because they're a current client, you can reach out and you can make that kind of warm ask a little bit. So make sure that you're looking at that reporting and take advantage of what it's telling you and adapt your marketing to what it's telling you.
And I think the only other takeaway here is that every person's database, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people, is precious. And that is your business, that is your hard work and energy. And so I think that the more you can nurture your database and take care of your database and speak to those people at the end of the day is important. I mean, it's still, digital is wonderful, but there's still that one-to-one that is important on how you communicate to people. So I think that you can't forget about that either.
So we've received a question, and we encourage you during this time, since we've gone through the presentation, please enter the chat, or maybe we can open it up at the end
Audio.
to go with that, open up your audio there. But the first one is a question from Robert, and he states, with emphasis on cybersecurity and to not open links sent that may be damaging, any tips on how to have recipients open links while maintaining a sense of security? First thing that comes to mind, you hear a lot of people talk about don't open links unless it's from a trusted source. Now, hopefully you with your email are recognized as a trusted source. And some ways to do that really are making certain that your email is branded. So when people see it, they understand who you are. But just as importantly, make certain that the email address it's coming from has your name in it. You know, if it's saying that it's coming from Tom at Times R Us, and that's not who you are, that's probably not a good thing to do. But whatever your business name is, or your name, however you're branding what you do, make certain that's included in the URL. I think that's probably one of the easiest ways of doing it. There's some people who just aren't going to do it, but I think it's also a case of really being able to say, make sure you're recognized as that trusted source.
It's also a great excuse. We tell this to everyone that we work with on an email platform. It's a great way to call your clients and let them know, hey, this information's coming. Or even after it's gone out, hey, I wanted to make sure you got this. I know we've been talking about MedMal. There's a great article in here about it. You've had some questions. I want to make sure you got it. If not, let me resend it. And again, just pushing it out on all your platforms. Once communication goes out, put it on your Facebook page, embed your articles in your website. That way it's just, you push them out on LinkedIn and have your team share them. Let your team know this is content we want to push out so that people will engage with it, again, from that trusted source.
Yeah, we would always recommend too, if you're building an email or doing something for your database, test it internally. Sometimes links can be broken. So when they go to click on it, it will prompt them, are you sure you want to visit this site? So always do the testing process and make sure internally it works. And when you are sending something, make sure it's sending it to clients that have opted into your emails. I hope that kind of helps answer that, Robert. And also open it up to, you're welcome to turn your mics on if you have questions and want to chat live. You're welcome, Robert. Anything? No, nobody?
Well, you'll be receiving this from Brandon. So again, maybe it may pose, prompt some questions. We are always available. You can visit our website and email us directly. You can also reach out to us. You know where we live now. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding any of this, and we'd be happy to help out.
All right, if that is all the questions, we will conclude, and thank you again for registering and joining us. Thank you, CSM, for presenting. We really enjoyed that. I will be sharing the recording along with the slide deck for everyone that's here today. So watch for that here later today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself directly. If you have questions for CSM, I can put you in touch with them. But enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.